and it would be interesting to see what could be done with AI if it was, if it did not have some of the constraints that it has right now. But if you think of the equivalent of like the products that OpenAI do, or some competitors now, if they could be somehow embarked on a game, or I don't know by what magic, but it probably is the future.
Yeah, used as a tool.
Yeah. And then you could imagine that for immersive sims, it would be fantastic, because one of the things about immersive sims is that we are always trying either to plan for everything that we think that the player might do, and that's authoring, and that's painful, or we are doing a lot of fail-safes with systems that somehow fall back on their feet if the player does something that we did not plan. So those are the two layers, right? First, we try to author the levels or the environments with different ways you can do things, and then if you kill that guy, then we should make sure that he's in prison later, and this brother then he comes back at him, and then there's always some stuff that the players do that we haven't planned, and that's why you have the net under, but that net is a little janky, and sometimes it works and sometimes it does not. And so if AI actually could really remember everything and actually take meaningful decision like a human Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master, then that would be actually very valuable. It's like, if you said that thing to that person and then stole that bottle there, then it happens that the other one remembers things that we could not do, things that we just could not do with there would not be in a team that is big enough to do these kind of things. So I could see that. And then the second part of the question was in what dimension we could see another game like Prey. Is that it?
Essentially, is kind of like in what perfect world with AAA the way it is. Can you imagine them bankrolling a game like Prey with that much ambition and moving parts around it?
Yeah, I will see what tools bring. I think it's all down to. I don't think it's down to business people. I think it's down to people that have passion, and some of them might be business people. But it's down to the people. It's down to a few individuals that absolutely want to make that kind of game, absolutely believe in that kind of game, wherever they are in the food chain of the video game industry. And also the other thing which could facilitate that is the tools, because whether everybody hates AI and for frankly good reasons, but there is space for AI to improve the tools, not to do our jobs, but to improve the tools. If you look at the way we made games in the 90s, it's pretty similar to how we make games today. The tools have barely evolved. I mean, they have, but they it's still the same principle, it's still the same ideas. You assemble props together. It used to be brushes, now it's props. There is still, if you need to make your level a little bigger, then you still have to pull the props apart and add the middle prop that is missing there, and don't forget the corner, and make sure that the textures there match with that texture. It's absolute pain in the butt. And that is time that level designers and artists spend doing grunt work, frankly, that could be, if there was again the equivalent of a chatbot GPT embedded in some tools, and I'm sure we had it's going to happen tomorrow, I'm sure, where you will look at your building and you say, make it bigger, make it wide, change the style entirely, or add some lights, more gore, whatever, and then it's done very fast, and then you become a director of that level. And because what the problem is that you look at the tools and how they've evolved over the years for 2 or 3 decades. And yes, of course they've evolved. I'm not saying they did not evolve, but the spirit stays very similar, and they barely evolve, frankly. You look at the curve, and meanwhile you look at the curve of the budgets and the team size, and it's gone like this, right? And because we are throwing people at the problem. And so on one hand, we just have way too many the teams are way too big, and that goes at odds with another problem, which is so we're losing jobs. So that's also another reality. But at the same time, making games with 1,000 people doesn't make sense. It's not. That was not the case. It was not meant to be. Mm-hmm. If it takes 1,000 people to make a game, there's nothing admirable about that. This is just like a lot of money, and people that probably are not having a fun job. If there's 1,000 people on the team, right? So I would rather go back to the way we were doing things when teams were between 20 and 50 people.
Yep.
Which was
I think oftentimes the like a lot of more ambitious and creative, interesting, just types of games come out of smaller teams, because it's that lack of that blanket of people to fall back on, that you got to get more creative with the time constraints, the budgetary constraints, and just only having 5, 10, 20, 30 people to make something that it feels like something more passionate, beautiful, and just more engaging comes out of it.
You're super right, and there's another 20 reasons why smaller teams are making better things, right? Some of it is like when you have those huge teams, and so all of a sudden you have a pressure of money, you have the pressure of like all the eyes of the world, of the publisher waiting for returns, and so you can't take risks. When you are small, when you are that big, and when you have infinite money, you just do things with more people. You don't try to think smart. You don't even allow yourself that, because it's not a problem. Money is not a problem. Well, it is later, but as you're doing the game, you feel like you're invulnerable. But whereas in small teams, when you really have a small team, then you have to you come up with smart, creative ideas. Like the one for Prey. It's a funny anecdote, but. We were it's not a secret, we did not have enough monsters in Prey. We were a little light on the monsters because we had, the budget was not that big in Prey, and we were struggling, and at some point we thought, man, it would be nice to add just one monster at least, so that and then I remember we were thinking of a variety of idea, and then the lead animator Etienne, who's a lead animator now, he said, well, problem is all these animations, man, it's going to cost another fortune. And I said, like, how about it's an invisible monster? It doesn't have animations. And it's just he moves, he uses the environment to throw shit at you. And then when he appears, only it's like when he throws things, then you see him in a posture, like maybe there's one animation. Come on, you can do one animation, and then he disappears, and then when he moves, you never see him move. And that was the smart idea, which led actually to one of our most fun monsters. But
Poltergeist.
The Poltergeist.
So entertaining.
But it would not have come if we had hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right. Yeah. Because you're dealing with those constraints, so you come up with what's the easiest, or not really easiest, but like what's something we can do that isn't going to cost that much more money and take that much more time. By far is one of those standouts of the game, easily. Especially the moment if you go in the bathrooms and you catch him throwing the toilet paper out of the stall.
All right, well, you remember that game.
he's a big Prey fan.
Yes.
It's a running joke when we do these interviews.
I remember very well.
He'll find a way to kind of shoehorn Prey into it somehow. We even did one full. We did one full episode talking about Prey not that long ago, and that was purely because we finally got to sit down and just let Deadforge kind of let rip in terms of his views on the game.
Hey,
that's cool.
Yeah, there's a reason I've made 3 videos on it. Okay. That exact scenario actually. I was talking to someone about it, and they're like, "No, that's like made up. Somebody did that or whatever." I was like, "No, it happened. Like I still have the capture on my phone. Like it happened. I promise you." And I remember showing that to people, and they're like, "Oh, that's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, no. Imagine how I felt when I walked in the bathroom. Toilet paper was just like," and I'm like, "What the hell is happening here?"
Nice. All right, guys. Well, we've had a couple more viewer questions come in as we've been talking. So let me go ahead and get these taken care of for the people who took the time. So the Primordial Chronicles is curious if you've played Prey 2006. What your thoughts are on that. And if you could rename Prey 2017 anything you're choosing, what would you have chosen instead of?